I just want to discuss the answer for part one in case anybody is having any problems, and then I'll start back the timer for part two. All right, so this here is a formula that you may have seen in school, right? What we have to do whenever we have brackets and the whole thing is being held hostage by a power, as usual, you add 1 to the power when we're integrating. We divide by the new power. Now, this only works if there's x here. I'm not as opposed to having x squared and x cubed. If it's just plain old boring x and there's a number touching it, the number slides underneath here to join the new power as well. Now, there's another way to do this question. We could expand the brackets first and then integrate, but that's going to be too much work. So I'm just clarifying, if just for this part, the integral part, how much of you all had this? We add 1 to the power, so we got 3. We divide by the new power, which is 3, but whoever is touching x, which is -7, goes over here. So you'll get -21 underneath, right? And then obviously from here, you put your little square brackets and you put your 2 and your 1. How much of you all at least have up to there? But you had -7 giving you -21, right? And minus sign is really, really important. So this is what you're really working out. 16 minus 7x to the power 3 divided by -21, right? And you have the big square brackets here. 2, 1, 1. Substituting the 2, work it out. Substituting the 1, work it out, and minus the 2 answers. One person said the answer is 34 for part 1. I really don't know the answer as yet. But keep going, guys. All right, so all I did so far was just substituting the 2, substituting the 1, right? You get the 2 answers in purple, and you have to minus both of them. And when we simplify it, don't forget that 2 minus signs will touch here to give you a positive, and the final answer is 34.33. How's that integration of the cosine and sine going? Any problems? Right? If you're having problems, I could just refresh your memory or give you a jump start, right? Remember, when you're integrating cosine, you get positive sign. And when you integrate sine, you get minus cosine. It's really, really, really easy to mix it up in the exam, right? I used to have problems with that in school as well. Also, whenever you're dealing with sine, tan, and cosine, and you see pi on 3, pi on 3 is really 60 degrees. So when you're replacing the x here, right, you're replacing it with, well, when you're replacing it with x here, okay, you're replacing it with 60 degrees. I would really suggest that you don't change your calculator to radians mode. Leave it on degrees mode, okay? Right. So let's see what you get here when you integrate this. When you integrate 2 cos x plus 3 sine x, and you put dx here. So when you integrate cosine, you get what? Sine. Right. When you integrate sine, you get minus cosine. Of course, you put a little square brackets like this. This is pi on 3, who is really secretly 60 degrees. And over here is 0. So you all know what to do. Replace both x with 60, then both x with 0, and you minus them. Anybody has a final answer on that one as yet? Now, in the exam, you unfortunately, you have to write out one big line like this, right? You write it like this. Sometimes it make it hard to fit on a sheet of paper, right? And then you put the minus sign in between like this. Right? I remember in school, it used to barely fit on my sheet of paper because I have really a really huge handwriting. All right, so finalize the answer and send it on the chat, please. All right, so when I typed in this piece on the calculator, I got this. And when I typed in this piece, I got this. Right, and well, remember, you have to minus both answers. So once again, I realize some people forgetting, hey, that sometimes two minus signs come together, right? And if they do, you get what? An addition, 0.232 plus 3. And I'm getting the same thing you guys got, 3.23. And some people went to 3 decimal places and have the 2. All right, so that's the end of that question. All right, the next one is kinematics, but it's the integration and differentiation type. They didn't give you a graph or anything like that. So have fun. You all notice that they gave you the equation for the acceleration. So right now, you're down here, A is for the acceleration. But in part 1, they're asking about the velocity. So to get the equation for the velocity, you're going to have to take this expression and integrate it. But you notice it have no limits. The limits are numbers on the top and the underneath. So when you integrate it, whatever you get, you have to put what? Plus C. And then you use these values down here to try to figure out what the value of C is. So you have the complete equation, for the velocity. And for part 2, once you have the complete equation for velocity, you can integrate and get what? The displacement or distance equation. But you will get another plus C, and you have to use the stuff on the line to figure out the value of C. Right, so I think that's a good jump start there. So if you integrate the acceleration, we're supposed to get the formula for velocity, and we said we will get what? A plus and a C. So let's integrate 5t minus 1. But to get full marks in the exam, you notice what? It's not x here, it's the letter t. So you're integrating t here, so you have to put dt. Do not put dx there. dt means, hey, we're integrating the letter t. So when I do this, this is what I am getting for the formula for the velocity. I'm getting 5t squared divided by 2, because we add 1 to the power minus t plus c. How much of you all could agree with that? Like you have that equation correct at least. Right, so people are saying yes, yes, yes. All right, but the question not finished there. I think we're far from finished. We still need to find the value of c. Now they said when t is 2, the velocity is 4. So they're already hinting at us, hey, replace the velocity with 4 and all the t's at the same point in time with 2. And that will allow us to at least find the value of c. Right, so I have to scroll down a little bit here, need some more space. Let's see what we get here. 4, make sure you square the 2 first. I know people have the habit of saying 5 multiplied by 2 and then they square it. Square it first and then multiply by 5. So I think, well, 2 squared is 4. 4 by 5 is 20 divided by 2 is 10 minus 2 plus c. So I am getting, let me get in here for some reason. I am getting c as minus 4, right? So that means that my final equation here is v is equal to 5t squared on 2 minus t minus 4. But they want the velocity when t is 4. So once you have the complete equation, go and replace all the t's with 4. Then you are finished with the question. So Angelo, we will see if you are correct just now. When I work this out, right? Remember, you're putting the 4 here, square 2 minus 4 minus 4. Check it back. I'm real sure we get in 32 meters per second. So that's the answer for part 1. I still have part 2. Unfortunately, you're going to have to integrate the velocity formula to get what? The displacement formula. Right, so we're going to integrate 5t squared on 2. Right. This will give us the formula for displacement. Integration. When I integrated this, I got 5t cubed, right? Now, the 3 is going to go underneath, but it's going to meet the 2 to get 6 minus t squared on 2 minus 4t and plus what? C. I think I just got the C to squeeze in there. But we still need to find what? C. So when t is 2, the displacement is 8. So we have the formula for displacement. So displacement is 5t cubed on 6 minus t squared on 2 minus 4t plus c. And you all will need to replace any d's you see with 8 and any t's with 2. Right? So make sure and get c first. And we'll take it from there. Right? All right, so when we solve for C, I'm getting 11 1/3. So that means the full equation is this. This question is really long. I hope you all don't get something long like this for the exam. Right? Right. All right, and now what do they want? The displacement when t is 3. All they have to do now is go and replace all the t's with 3 and work out the displacement and send me that final answer. Right, so Khalil, I'm getting the same thing as you and Abidesh. I am getting 17 1/3 meters. That's what I am getting, or 17.33, however you want to put it. Right? So please confirm on your end. Whenever you're doing probability, like if you ever see this, the probability A/B. This is interpreted as the probability of A happening or occurring given that B has occurred. And that is how you interpret it. And to work this out, this is the formula. If the two letters are A and B and you have the slash here, B is the one after the slash is interpreted as given. It's the probability of A and B, better known as A intersect B, divided by the probability of B. The moral of the story is this: whoever comes after the slash is the one that goes underneath in the formula. Right? So you're going to need this formula in order to do question 6. Right, so get started. Hope it helps. Let me just fill out the table. And let's make sure we have that correct first, and then we could probably go and do some calculations. All right. So The chances of it being a female is 0.4. So what is the chances of it of the person being male? It's just the remaining amount because remember probability is out of 1. So how much people got the 0.6 here? Like you were able to reason that out, right? And for the male, if you are male and paying with cash, the probability is 0.65. So the balance of the 1 is the other. So it's 1 minus 0.65. So over here would be 0.35. I think that was pretty easy. 30% of the females pay with cash. So they're already trying to say in smart here is 0.3. And they're trying to say here is 0.7. So once you have that diagram correct with the correct values, it should be easy enough to do part 2 and part 3. But take it from there just in case you weren't sure about the diagram. All right, so for part 2, they ask what's the probability that a customer pays for petrol with cash. Now, there are 2 ways you can end up with a cash payment, right? All right. You can be a female, right? And pay with cash. So that's one way. So when you're moving across this way, right? When you're moving across this way, you multiply. So being a female and paying with cash, the probability will be 0.4 multiplied by 0.3. So you're multiplying these what? 2, right? 0.4 and 0.3. So I think that will give me 0.12. Well, what other way can you end up with a cash payment? You can be male and pay with cash. So once again, to get a total probability of those branches or of those things occurring, you multiply the 2 probabilities, you bounce up on the part itself. So it's 0.6 multiplied by 0.65, which is 0.39, okay? So what's the total probability that a customer pays with cash? You have to add these 2 answers because this is one instant and this is another instant that it can happen. So for part 2, it will be what? 0.12 plus 0.39. So you add those 2 and you get what? That's now 0.12 plus 0.39, which is 0.51, right? And of course, you could put it on the diagram in the exam or whatnot, right? All right, so for part 3, determine which one is more likely. Well, first of all, let's just complete all the other probabilities here one time, right? What's the probability of being female and paying with the other means? It will be what? 0.4 by 0.7, which is 0.28, and being a male and paying by some other method, right, is 0.6 by 0.35. So it's 0.6 multiplied by 0.35 is 0.21, right? Now, I haven't started to answer part 3 as yet. I was just getting all the other probabilities, you know, just in case we need it, all right? So let's see what they're asking us here. Event T. A customer is female given that the petrol is paid with cash. So how do we write that? What is the probability that the customer is female given, so we put a slash, and the C means what? Paying by cash. Remember the formula I just showed you, right? Is the probability of being female and paying with cash divided by the probability of paying with what? Cash. So let's calculate event T. To calculate event T, we just have to figure out him, and divide it. what's the probability of being female and paying for cash? You can see that on the diagram. What's the probability of being female and paying with cash? Female and paying with cash is 0.12. And what's the probability of paying with cash? There are two ways to pay with cash, right? Remember this one and this one. So the probability of paying with cash is the answer from on top, right? Which is 0.51. So divide those two and we will get the probability of event T. So when we divide those things, the probability of event T is equal to 0.12 divided by 0.51, which I'm getting roughly 0.231 or 234, or however, 24, however you want to round it off. Now, for the next one, event T, a male customer, what's the probability of a male customer does not pay for petrol with cash? Well, what's the probability of being male and not paying with cash? Isn't that what? 0.21? So what's the probability there? So the probability of event V is 0.21. Which one is most likely to occur? Event T. Event T is slightly bigger than event V. Right? Everyone good there with that answer? In a stem and leaf diagram, right? In a stem and leaf, let me show you. Like if we were to do the stem and leaf, remember the stem and leaf, you could still make out the original values, right? The original data, you can still make it out. But when you have a box and whisker, you can't tell the individual values. So to me, that's the most, the biggest advantage of a stem and leaf, right? The original data is shown. Another person said the data is more accurately displayed on the stem and leaf. While that is a good answer, the word accurately could be interpreted so many different ways. Accurate in what way, right? So Angelo, don't put that one. At least put the original data is shown, right? Right, I'm just reading back one other answer. Stem and leaf are especially useful because they can show gaps in the data that are not obvious in a box and whisker plot. So that's a good one. So I like this one also. So I'm just going to copy and paste it over here, right? Okay, so you all can take down this. This is probably the best answer here, and this is a second answer over here. You all can take down any one of them and write it in the exam. But today, take down both. Right, so let me know when you're finished taking down the answer for part 1, right? Right, so for the answer for part 1, any one of these answers will do. Right, so based on the stem and leaf plot here, which is the answer for part 2, you think you all could find the median mark? Remember, it have 30 students and all. So if you add up all the values here, you're supposed to get how much? 30. So see if you could quickly find the median. Remember, to find the median, right, you have to use n plus 1 divided by 2, but it's TH. This formula just tells you where it's located. And n is the amount of figures that you have. So it's 30 plus 1 divided by 2. So you get 31 divided by 2, which is 15.5. But 15.5, like I just said, isn't the actual answer for the median. It just tells us the location. So we have to look for the item, right, in the 15.5th position, which is in between what? The 15th and 16th positions. Let's go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, he is in a 15th position, and he is in a 16th position. So remember, this is interpreted as 66 and a next 66. So yeah, since it's in between two numbers, you add the two numbers and divide by 2 to kind of like find the midway value. But obviously, you're going to get back what? 66. So the median is actually 66. Right? So if you got it wrong, well, I hope you understand. Well, I'm sure that you understand it now because we did plenty of examples on this before. Right? So the answer is 66. So let's have a quick look at the other part here now. We determine the median mark. 2 students are chosen at random from the class. Determine the probability that both scored less than 50. What's the chances both of them scoring less than 50? Remember, it have 30 people in all. Now we're going to assume that they pick them one at a time, right? And then when you pick them, you let them join back the class. So the class always has what? 30. So what's the probability that a person has less than 50? Less than 50 are what? People who scored 40, 41, or what? 45. So how much, but let me just get this. How much people scored less than 50 in the class? Let us establish that first, the amount of people. 3 people, okay? So the probability of picking a person, forget whether it's 1 person, 2 persons, 3 persons, we just go up to the class and we just randomly pick a person, and the probability that 1 person scores less than 50 would be 3 over what? 30, sorry, right? Let's go to our fresh page here. The probability of scoring less than 50 is 3 over what? 30, which is 0.1. But here's the thing. Think of this like a tree diagram. The probability of picking the first person who scores less than 50 is 0.1. And then you pick a second time. So the probability of picking another person is another 0.1. What's the total probability? Remember, it's 0.1 multiplied by another 0.1. So it's 0.1 multiplied by 0.1, which is what? 0.01. The probability will be 0.01, not 0.2, right? Because it comes like, let's scroll up here now. It comes like, here's a 0.1 and here's another 0.1. What's the probability of both happening? The probability of both happening, you just have to multiply the probabilities, right? So the answer is 0.01. Well, they didn't really say if you're putting the student back or not, right? But we have to use a little bit a little bit imagination here, right? We pick and then we let the person doesn't know we picked, so we didn't ask them to leave the classroom or anything, and then we repicked. I'm not too sure if that's a word. If repick is a word. All right. All right, guys. So like I said, today would have been a shorter class than usual.